Hello and welcome back to Bits and Bobs. Today's video is the complete coinage of George I. We're going through every coin minted in his reign. He reigned from 1714 to 1727. So let's have a look in denomination order at all the circulating coinage of George I's reign. Starting off with the farthing, the lowest denomination coin at the time. Here is a George I farthing. We see here Lady Britannia seated with the shield to her side and the staff in her hand. Not yet a trident, at this time just a staff. And she is holding a sprig of leaves in her hand. Around her is the legend reading Britannia, referencing the country, and of course Lady Britannia herself. Below her is the date, in this case 1717, one of the earliest coins of his reign. If we look to the obverse of the coin, we can now see a portrait of King George I. He is featured facing to the right and is uncrowned, but if you look closely you can just see a laureate in his hair. Around him is a simple legend simply reading Georgivus Rex, once again Latin, this time translating to George King. Note the flan of the coin was fairly thin. There was a second version of these farthings minted with a much wider or larger flan and are known as the larger flan issues. Also they feature a full stop after the word Rex, unlike the first issue farthings. Now then, moving up in denomination, we go on to the halfpennies. The halfpennies here feature the exact same design as the farthings, but the halfpenny first type has a smaller rim than the farthings did in both issues. A thin rim halfpenny giving us even bigger design as the coin is bigger as well. There are only two denominations minted in copper. There are pure copper, the farthing and the halfpenny, done by weight, so a halfpenny was double the weight of a farthing. We'll now move on to the silver coins, starting off with the penny. That's right, at this time the penny was still made in silver, sterling silver, and here we see the design. It may remind you of a Maundy coin as it shares the same design of the Maundy pennies of the time, with the Roman numeral for 1 crowned with the date either side of the crown and the legend around that. These were very small circulating coins, with a diameter of just 12 millimeters and weighing only half of a gram. The obverse features a second portrait of George I, here with the legend again, Georgivus de Gra, George by the grace of God, and again laureate in his hair facing to the right. Moving on now, we'll talk Maundy coinage of George I and the Maundy style coins. So here we see a Maundy set from 1727 and feature the 1, 2, 3 and 4 pence, all with the same design, just obviously changing the number under the crown. And of course the size changes as well. However, the exciting thing is, the 1, 2, 3 and 4 pence were also all circulation coins. So the threepence, tuppence, groat and penny, all silver coins, all Maundy style coins circulating at the time, as well as being released annually in the Maundy service and Maundy sets. Now then, moving on to the sixpence piece. The sixpence here is seen with a bit more detail as now the coins are getting bigger. The obverse portrait is still the same as the smaller silver coins and has a just longer legend around it. The reverse features 4 crowned cruciform shields featuring the Harp of Ireland, the Hanoverian shield to the left, at the top a shield sharing the 3 lines of England and the rampant line of Scotland, and to the right the French lilies. The date at the top and a legend around this, with the letters C and SS in between and a garter star in the middle centralizing the design. The C and SS design features stand for the South Sea Company, SSC, and is repeated twice on either side of the coin between the 4 shields. A lovely design for great old Georgian sixpence. And back in this time period, a sixpence would have been worth about £7 or £8 in today's money. Now then, moving on to the 1 shilling coin, the shilling or the bob. Here we see a lovely design, very similar to the previous sixpence, with the 4 crowned cruciform shields, but this time rather than the South Sea Company SSC, there are roses of England and lilies of France in the gaps between the shield. This, in my opinion, is an even better design for these coins, and of course being a bigger coin, it would be really nice to see all this lovely detail of the garter star and the shields and the crowns in this coin. The obverse features this same portrait of George I, with the legend around him as all his titles as monarch, and is in Latin. That was the first issue shilling, and here is the second issue shilling. You may recognise the design of the second issue shilling, and in fact, there were no sixpences minted at the start of George I's reign, and so presumably if they were, they would feature that same roses and French ladies design, and then when the design was changed to this one, the sixpence was once again in demand, and so they were minted, both the sixpence and the shilling, with this design, the difference of course being the weight and size. Now then, there were no florins minted as they were introduced in Victoria's time, so on to the half crown. And here we see the half crown. Now you may well recognise the reverse design here, crowned cruciform shield, 4 of them around the garter star with the roses and lilies. However, the obverse is subtly different as it features a slightly different portrait of George I with a few tweakings to the engraving done by John Crocker. This was the only design used on half crowns in the reign of George I and didn't change to the South Sea Company design. Now then, the largest of all circulating silver coins, the crown. Here we see the obverse of the crown featuring a lovely portrait of George I with with the legend around him would look stunning on the large canvas of a crown. And here is the large canvas of a crown, and you can see all the details of this now familiar design pop out really out of the coin. The garter star, the 4 cruciform crown shields, and the legend around it. This one features the South Sea Company SSC markings between the shields. Although it is a lovely design, I think it is a bit lazy to use the same design on the sixpence, shilling, half crown and crown of all these silver coins. But no more silver coins, we'll now move on to the quarter guinea and the gold coins. Although funnily enough the design is fairly similar, to be fair. There are 4 crowned cruciform shields, the Hanoverian shield, the Lions of England and the Rampant Line of Scotland sharing a shield, the Harp of Ireland and the French lilies, around the garter star with a legend surrounding. However, rather than roses or French lilies or SSC, we now have the 4 royal sceptres between these shields. The obverse features a different portrait of George I, only used on gold coins, although it does look very similar, but that is to be expected as it is the same person on the coin, but just in a different interpretation of engraving. Now then, that was the smallest gold coin. There were no third guineas minted, so we'll move on to the half guinea. Now the Royal Mint used an old trick here that they did in the time of George I and reused the design. The coin was only double the weight to make the difference. However, the obverse did change slightly with an updated portrait during the mintage of the half guinea. The second portrait is my favourite of the 2 used on these guineas. Now then, move on to the actual guinea. No more fractional guineas. This is the 1 guinea 21 shilling coin, and they used the same design. A lovely design, it must be said, and to have that in gold would be a great coin, but again a bit lazy to reuse it. Now then, you may see what's happening here. The double guinea, double the size of the guinea, but again the same design. And I'm sure it would look lovely on the big canvas, 16 grams of gold plus, but again the same design. Now moving on to the biggest coin, the most valuable coin in circulation, the 5 guinea, a truly awe-inspiring piece, over 40 grams of gold, an equivalent buying power today of £322, but does still feature that same design. So there we go, the coinage of George I. Comment down below your favourite George I coin and any George I coins you have in your collection. If you have enjoyed the video, please do subscribe to the channel, as that means a big lot to us here at the Bits and Bobs team. And of course, a big thank you to everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. See you soon for more coins on Bits and Bobs. Bye.